What is going on, guys? It is another Wednesday night AEW Dynamite review for April 22nd, 2026. I am the Solomonster, which you already knew because you saw the logo in the corner of the screen. I'm in a little bit of a better mood than I was a couple of hours ago because it looked like the Mets were trending towards another loss, which would have put them at 0 for their last 13. As it is, they went 0 for their last 12, but I am happy to report they have snapped the losing streak. And see, I would like to think that my little voodoo trickery last night on TNT had a little something to do with their luck changing. I had my little voodoo doll and I was doing the dance. Who the fuck knows? All I know is that they won. They beat the Twins 3-2. So maybe they could try to turn things around. I mean, I know it's the Mets, so I'm not going to hang my hat on that, but at least they picked up a win. You know who else picked up a win tonight? Darby Allin. Darby Allin is the new AEW World Champion. I wasn't here last week. Of course I wasn't here last week. So when I'm not here, big things usually happen. I'm here basically all the time, but the one time I'm not here, we get a rare world title change on TV. So I didn't have a chance to talk about it. Actually, the first I really talked about it was yesterday. I talked about it on the Uncrowned Wrestling Show, which you all should be listening to. Talked about it a little bit on TNT last night, but not here on the stream. So I just wanted to address this before we get into all the things that happened tonight on what I thought was a strong show. I enjoyed Dynamite tonight, but I went back after I came back from Las Vegas, and I wanted to watch the entire show from start to finish because I had the title change spoiled for me, which I figured it would be. So I knew that Darby won the championship, but all I knew is that he beat MJF in 2 minutes. He squashed MJF, basically, to win the AEW World title last week. And my first thought was, again? Second time in the last 3 months that the world champion has been squashed on television. One time you can make the argument for, if you have a good enough reason for it. Twice in 3 months is not something that I would be doing. But I wanted to go back and watch the entire show, see how it was promoted and see how the whole thing played out. And I thought they did a good job in terms of that key story last week. Opening the show last week with MJF and Darby in the ring. Darby cutting this impassioned promo. MJF, he didn't even know he was going to be defending the title. See, he was already in a bad mood. And they were going to do it right at the beginning of the show. And then they said, well, Tony Khan is going to give MJF until the end of the night. So that way there can be no excuses. And he can go in there and he can defend his championship. And they had people, really hyping up Darby, good luck tonight in there against MJF. And they brought Sting in for the show. And as soon as I saw Sting, I said, well, if I was watching the show live, it would have been obvious at that point that Darby's not losing this match. They're in Everett, Washington. They flew Sting out there for it. He's not going out there and losing. And then they do the actual match. And what I said last week is that Darby's probably going to win. And he's going to either win with a headlock takeover or he's going to counter out of one when MJF tries for one. Because it only made sense. The history with these two guys goes back. It predates AEW. It predates their first match in 2021. This goes back to their time on the Indies together, where MJF used a side headlock takeover to beat Darby Allin. And sure enough, he went to go use one, and Darby was able to, counter out of it. He gave MJF a little taste of his own medicine with a nut shot, and he gave him not one, not two, not three, 4 coffin drops, and then picks him up and pins him with a side headlock takeover. Now, if Darby Allin was ever going to win the AEW World Championship from this man, it could only be one way. There had to be a side headlock takeover. For the sake of long-term storytelling, just that alone, there had to be a side headlock takeover. So I thought that was clever. And then they trot all the roster members out for the big celebration. Sting comes out and he celebrates with Darby. Darby's like a son to him. I was joking last night on TNT. I said in that backstage segment when Sting was really trying to hype him up, Darby looked like he was so nervous. And Sting was like, no, it's not showtime. It's your time. Now get out there and show everybody what you can do. And Darby went and walked off. And I said it looked like a father who was trying to calm his son down, who was very nervous going into school on his first day of class. And he sends his son into the school, like, get in there and, you do the thing. That's what it kind of came across as to me. Father and son. It was a nice moment. The celebration, everything at the end of the show, the fans cheering, all the guys, the baby faces in the ring celebrating. We've seen moments like this in wrestling over the years, even with world title changes on TV. It's been done before. This is not something that we've never seen before. And I know that there was a lot of divided opinion, a lot of negative opinion when it came to what they did. Having watched the entire thing from start to finish, I thought they did as good of a job as you could do with it, considering how sudden it all was. My issue with it is twofold. Number one, the idea of squashing MJF that way, beating him that easily, if you don't want to use the word squash, that's fine. That's what it was. Doing it twice in 3 months, you shouldn't be doing that. All right, that's number one. Now, it's not going to kill MJF. He's not buried. Oh, MJF is buried. Of all the people on that fucking roster who can absorb a loss like that and not be buried, believe me, MJF is that guy. But I wasn't a fan of that. And also, Darby, for all the years he's been in this company, my issue with them putting the title on him now isn't just that MJF was on this great roll and had all these challengers lined up as champion. But Darby just coming into this has not felt as cold as he does right now. Like, there are periods of his career in AEW where he was a much hotter babyface, and you can make the argument that maybe now is the time, right? Now is the time to, if you're ever going to put the title on this guy, do it now. This didn't feel like the time. But they picked the right city for it because they were in his backyard. So, of course, everybody was going nuts and they were chanting his name. The reality is that even though he may not be as hot of a commodity as he has been at different points in time, to their audience, he's still one of the more over-popular baby faces in the company. And you see the celebration at the end of the show last week, and it made for a great moment. MJF comes out this week, as he did on social media all week, and he's just livid. I mean, he's just going off on Darby, give me my belt back, you're a fucking thief, you hit me in the dick, right? I'm going to sue you, and all this other nonsense, because that's what you would expect him to do. That's what I mean. Like, in the long run, it's not going to hurt him. Especially because Darby ain't going to have that title for very long. If you believe that Darby Allin is going to be walking into, for example, Wembley Stadium this summer, or frankly, even Forbidden Door, as the AEW World Champion, it ain't happening. I think most of us can look at this and see it for what it is, which is a way to hotshot the belt onto Darby, give him his run, kind of get it over with, and get that belt back on MJF as soon as possible. And if that's the goal here, and MJF is going to get the belt back in a month anyway, no harm, no foul. I always said when Darby Allin wins the AEW World Championship, he's not going to reign for very long. Like, Darby is not going to ever be that guy who's going to go 6 months or a year. Because the essence of Darby as a character on this show, the essence of who he is, he crashes and he burns. There's no off switch. Think of when he had the TNT Championship. I think it might have been the second time. He was defending that fucking belt every single week until he burned out and he lost it. So it's not going to be any different now. We see his first title defense already tonight, and he's already got a second one lined up next week. This man is going to crash and burn. It's not a matter of months. It's a matter of weeks. And MJF will get his belt back, and nobody will be talking about this a month and a half from now. And it will not take away from the moment if, say, MJF goes to All In this summer and loses the championship in the main event to someone like, I don't know, Will Ospreay. People aren't going to look at that and go, man, this would have been so much better if MJF didn't drop that belt for 6 weeks to Darby Allin. Like, give me a fucking break. So watching the way that they did it, I wasn't as against it as I initially was just when I initially heard the news. But still, beating MJF in the way that they beat him in 2 minutes, that's not something I would have done coming off what they did with Brody King a few months ago. But that brought us to tonight. This was Darby Allin's first week as the AEW World Champion. This was their first title defense here for Darby. And he was putting that title on the line against Tommaso Ciampa in the main event. And what a main event they had. These guys went out there for, oh God, what was it, 17 minutes, 18 minutes? They gave them some time. And they had a killer main event. Before we got to the main event, I was looking, there was a match tonight between Will Ospreay and Mark Davis. That was my match of the night. Until Darby and Champa went out there and did what they did. And then they cleared the Osprey and Mark Davis match. But we had two killer matches on this show. We had the main event, which then set up Brody King as the next #1 contender, challenger, what have you, for the AEW World title on the show next week. So that train keeps going. Darby's going to be defending that belt every single week. And we also had Will Ospreay and his bad neck out there against Mark Davis. Now, if you've watched these reviews or listened to these reviews, you know that I have become a fan of Mark Davis over these last few months. And that was not the case 6 months ago. 6 months ago, Mark Davis was, okay, he's that guy in the Don Callis family who is sort of, you know, he's kind of lost in the shuffle there because he had a tag team partner and now he doesn't. And even in January, they gave him another tag team partner and then he got hurt. And I'm like, man, this guy can't catch a break. And in between that, Davis got hurt. He was just a background player in the Callis family that they could throw in there when they needed a guy to go in there and lose. And that was it. But over time, he's actually dropped some weight too. But over time, he goes out there and he just has these really fun kind of brawling type matches. And I don't know, there aren't too many people on that roster, or at least anybody that's pushed, that they have like that. That just comes across as like almost like an old school kind of brawling type. Everybody has their flashy fucking moves and their dives and everything else that they do, and that's not really his style. So I've become a fan of his work because he's put together this string of just really fun matches. None more so than tonight against Will Ospreay, who also has put together, I mean, no surprise it's Will Ospreay, but has also put together a string of very good matches on TV recently. You put the two of them together, no surprise they went out there and they had an excellent match. So to me, those were the two highlights of the show tonight. They also set up a TNT Championship match for next week's show, 2 title matches next week. Darby and Brody King, but also MJF is going to be challenging Kevin Knight. And that one's a little sus to me, considering we know what title MJF is going after. Why are they diverting him to another championship? But they've already set up 2 big title matches for next week. And also on this show tonight, Brody King had a match earlier in the night, and he wrestled Lio Rush. Now, Lio Rush has, I believe this was a character that he portrayed at one time previously. I believe. I could be wrong about that. Even still, there has been no explanation on this show anyway as to why all of a sudden Lio Rush has lost his mind. He looks like Gollum when he comes out. And he's muttering to himself, and he's got the wild eyes, and he's kind of galloping around like some kind of weird creature or demon of some kind. And I'm watching what he's been doing off and on, because we don't get to see him on Dynamite very often. It's mostly Collision or Ring of Honor. And it's different enough that it's growing on me. It's kind of like a fungus. It's growing on me. And I can appreciate how he is throwing himself into this just wacky character. I believe that it would be nice if we had some explanation through vignettes or whatnot as to why all of a sudden he has descended into madness or descended back into madness. We haven't had that. It was like a switch got flipped and all of a sudden this guy's out of his mind. But he's out there, he's wrestling Brody King, and I'm enjoying the character work that he's doing because he's throwing himself into this thing. And again, it's different enough on a show where I think it can be hard to be different because everybody wrestles the same. Everybody, they have just very similar styles. A lot of the guys on the show look very similar. Not everybody, but it's good to try to be different. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. This is just creepy and weird enough to me to where I'm intrigued. And so it was nice to see him get some shine on Dynamite because, again, we usually don't get to see him on this show. And as far as the rest of what we had, there was a women's match that was a little choppy in a couple of points. Otherwise, I thought that was decent. The other stuff on the show was decent. It really wasn't anything, out of, excellent, like out of nowhere. Samoa Joe is back, which is nice. He's been in concussion protocol for a while. It was great to see Samoa Joe back. So it was an easy 2 hours for me to watch. I think they had a hard cutoff at the top of the hour because I believe they're taping Collision for this weekend as we speak. So no big overrun tonight, which is great because we didn't really need one. But when it was over, I liked the show. I was a fan of this week's episode of Dynamite. I thought it was a strong show. Moved some other things along. The Death Riders, I mean, we'll get into what happened when the Osprey match was over. We'll get into everything here. But this is your Dynamite review here. Again, it is April 22nd, 2026. I am the Solomonster. I want to, before I go any further, I have to thank everybody because earlier today, we did indeed pass 92,000 subscribers here on the channel. We hit 92K faster than I thought we would, which is very encouraging as we climb now towards 93. And then, I mean, you know where we're headed here. It's going to take a while, but you know where we're headed. And 92, I mean, that was a great year, 92. So anyway, thank you for helping me get there. And let's keep climbing. So if you're not subscribed already, hit that sub button. Hit that like button as well. We're going to spin the wheel here momentarily to find out what the goal is for Be the Booker tonight. And super chats are open. So if you'd like to send one in and support what I do here on the channel, if you like the content, I sure do appreciate it. Go ahead and drop one. I want to give a quick plug to our pal David. David occasionally will put together these polls that you can vote in. He actually goes through a lot of the matches that we have booked in that Be the Booker segment, and he puts these polls together. It's almost like a Solomonster supercard type deal. He puts a lot of time into it. If you would like to vote, it is pinned in the chat. From what I'm seeing, tell me if you're seeing the same thing. When I would pin a message in the chat, traditionally it would be pinned at the top, right? Because that would make sense. Now I see it's pinned at the bottom. I don't know if that's a me thing. I don't know if that's for all of you and you're seeing the same thing. It annoys me. I don't know why it's pinned to the bottom now. But anyway, it is pinned. So go find the link and go vote. Voting ends tomorrow. So don't waste any time on that. Let's spin this wheel and find out how many likes we need, and then we can get this party started here. Always a challenge here on these Dynamite streams. So if it's a high number, we're probably not going to be doing Be the Booker tonight, but let's see. $4.75. It's on the bottom for you too. I don't know why they did that. Pseudo, though, says he sees it at the top. Maybe it's a glitch. I don't know. Anyway, if you don't see it at the top, it's at the bottom. 475 likes is the goal for tonight. If we are to Be the Booker, we are at 244. So we got some work to do there. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get into this here. Let's talk about this Dynamite show. Because after highlights of last week's big title change and Darby Allin winning the AEW World Championship, MJF was live in the arena, and he was not happy. He was angrily marching down to the ring, and he referred to last week as the Seattle Screwjob, said that he had come out victorious. A few days prior, at Dynasty had that 40-minute match with Kenny Omega. He beat Kenny Omega, said that he called Darby a cheat, said that he hit him in the nuts before that skank, Aubrey Edwards, made a fast count on him. So he asked the crowd, do you really think that Darby could beat me at 100%? Called himself the most complete athlete in the sport. He's beaten everyone's favorites. Made sure Hangman Page can never again be the AEW World Champion. He reminded everybody that he kicked out of the One-Winged Angel like it was nothing. So did Rhea Ripley, by the way, at WrestleMania. And he demanded that Darby come to the ring to give him back his AEW World Championship. And he didn't give a shit about his match in the main event tonight with Tommaso Ciampa. So instead, he got the Jet, Kevin Knight, the brand new TNT champion who made his way down to the ring. And I told you, I mean, this is why I went with Kevin Knight as my pick in the Casino Gauntlet match at Dynasty. Because you could tell that Tony Khan thinks very highly of him. He has been getting a lot more face time on Dynamite going back to December. And it just felt to me like if they had to take the title from Kyle Fletcher, why not put the belt on someone like Kevin Knight, who they're very high on, and give him a run and see how he does as the champion. And so now here he is sharing the ring again, not the first time, with MJF. And this is something that he needs. He needs more of this. He needs to be on the mic, and not just by himself. Like last week, he got on the mic after his match. He addressed the crowd. He needs to be, going one-on-one with people who are better than him on the microphone so that he can get better. And to see how he reacts when he's in there with somebody else who's better than him on the stick. So he came out to the ring. He said it's a different city, but the same MJF, whining like a little bitch. He said that it was about to get real because the jet is too fly. Told MJF that I look clean with my new title around my waist. And when you're a fighting champion, you're willing to defend it at any time. And he made the case that he had MJF beat in their match all those weeks ago, and that he should be Jet 2 belts right now. So MJF mocked how eloquent he was as a speaker, and how he thinks it's socially acceptable to be friends with Speedball Mike Bailey. Obviously, though, your memory isn't that great like mine, because I remember beating you with a heat seeker for the easy dub. But he gave props to Knight, called him a good hand, but someone who has a ceiling, someone who will never be the AEW World Champion. So Knight said that he'll slap MJF's big-ass nose off his face and send him packing. Said some of the best wrestlers have held the TNT title, which is something that MJF would know nothing about. MJF has had everything handed to him. So how about he hands MJF an ass whooping? And MJF said, well, if you want to wrestle, if you want to get me in the ring, you're going to have to put that TNT title on the line. And if you do that, then you got yourself a match. So Knight agreed to it, and MJF said, all right, get me a referee out here. And here comes Bryce Remsburg, and he's got the title, and he's holding the title up. And before the bell could be rung, MJF takes the powder out of the ring, and he's kind of laughing as he starts to make his way to the back. And he says, you're going to dance with the devil, but not tonight. You're going to dance with the devil next week. And the fans here tonight were not very happy about that in Portland. But it makes sense. Why give that match away unannounced? So not the best promo from Kevin Knight. He wasn't terrible, but you could tell, like, he's still, I don't know if nervous. I don't know if he was nervous or just a little rough around the edges in interacting with MJF. I wouldn't call it a strong segment for him. I mean, he was fine. He was decent enough. But this is what he needs more of. If he's going to go back and forth on the mic with someone like MJF, which, I mean, to be fair, not a lot of people can necessarily do that because MJF is the best talker they have in the company. Him and Joe, I would say. But this is the sort of thing that you want. You want him to be in there working with the best that you have. And also MJF being one of their top stars, not a bad place for Kevin Knight to be, right? Sharing the ring with someone like him. So hopefully we'll get to see him in more situations like that. But MJF challenging for the TNT title, this I don't understand. Him challenging for the TNT championship when he is actively trying to get back the AEW world title. And we know that rematch is coming probably a double or nothing. That rematch is going to be coming. So why he's challenging for the TNT championship next week is a little weird. It just seems to me like we're going to get the match and we're going to get some cheap DQ finish because MJF doesn't give a shit about the TNT title. I almost feel like if the title wasn't on the line, it would make it a little more unpredictable. So that part to me was a little weird. But I like the fact that they at least announced the big match a week in advance. I think that's smart. Now we went backstage and Renee was there to interview Chris Jericho and The Demand. And they announced a 6-man tag team match for Collision. Ricochet said that Jericho burned all of his bridges and he had no friends anymore. And he wouldn't have any partners either. So Jericho showed off his brand new t-shirt. Now Jericho's brand new t-shirt has a brand new catchphrase on it that he legitimately filed a trademark application for. If you want to show how the trademark system is being abused here in this country, this is Exhibit A. But he legitimately filed a trademark for this. And I want to show you right now a photo. If you would like to pick this t-shirt up, because I'm sure you're all dying to buy one, you can do so right now on shopaew.com for one low price of just $32. That does not include shipping and handling. That is the t-shirt. It's called Chris Jericho, the Guy shirt. And on it, it says Jericho, the guy who gets his ass beat by the Demand every week that he shows up. Which is something that Ricochet said to him, I guess, last week. Or a couple of weeks ago. This is now a real thing. This is a t-shirt that you can own. If you have a fan, a fellow friend who's a wrestling fan, and you need to buy something maybe for their birthday, I'm sure they would love this as a birthday gift. So there you go. And look, all the sizes are available up to quadruple large. My fucking God. How big? How big do these shirts go? Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry. 5X. You could go from small to 5X for just $32. So Ricochet said that he's going to beat Jericho again with a Rico Salt. And Jericho said he doesn't have to find partners who like him to team with him. He could just find two people who don't like Ricochet. Exo says, there are better ways to spend $32. I'll tell you what. I 100% agree with you. You could spend $32 on a super chat and get a cool sound and a shout out from yours truly. You don't even have to wait for it to be shipped to your house. And that would go further than it would if you were to buy that t-shirt. I thought that Jericho was going to be bringing back Big Bill and Brian Keith, right? Since there was no resolution with them, Jericho just went away, and that was it. That was the end of the learning tree. And I'm not saying that I want the learning tree back, but he needs two partners, right? So I thought, okay, this is going to be their way of kind of, even just for one match, sort of writing off the learning tree once and for all. And that was not the case, because later on in the show in the back, Renee asked Jericho, have you found your partners for this match? And out of Jericho's locker room comes Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, and MVP, the Hurt Syndicate. And they all nodded to Jericho. So it's going to be Jericho and the Hurt Syndicate, who have history with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. And that's going to be the match on Collision this weekend, which, again, I believe it's being taped as we speak for Saturday. After this, we had Brody King against Lio Rush doing his wacky Blackheart character. Again, Leo, he's very committed to this thing. I give him credit. He was crouched in the corner here at the beginning. Brody King is in the opposite corner. And Lio Rush is crouched down in the corner. He's not even looking at Brody. Okay, he's looking kind of at the camera right up in his face. And he's muttering to himself, he said it's his house. It's not his house anymore. I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know who this he is that he's referring to. The man, he belongs in a white coat somewhere. So the bell rang. Brody finally had enough. And he went after this man. Rush bailed to the outside. He tried to throw a chop, and Brody no-sold it and just demolished him with chops of his own. But Leo is laughing. King sits him on a chair. He charges. He missed a running crossbody up against the guardrail. So Leo then jumps on top of the lid of the announce desk, crouched right in front of the announcers. And he tried to crossbody off the table. He got caught, but he slipped out, and he was able to drive Brody into the post and then sent him into the railing. So Rush tried for his rush hour move. Brody, though, turned him inside out with a lariat. He went for a gonzo bomb. Leo slid out. He hit a kick, which sent King outside. And then this is where Leo did his creepy gallop. It's the best way for me to describe it. He did his creepy gallop around the ring into a low tope and took out Brody on the floor. I'm watching him do this. And you know what it reminded me of? Because I actually just saw the movie again not that long ago. It reminds me of the movie Megan with the killer doll. And that one scene in the movie in the woods with the little boy, the abusive, obnoxious little boy who learned a very valuable lesson that day, which is, you don't put your hands on a lady and don't act like a dick, because when you do, bad things will happen to you. Like a creepy killer doll might gallop towards you and chase you into traffic, and you will be hit by a car and killed. Spoiler. Sorry, I spoiled the scene for you. That's what this reminded me of. So back inside, Leo hit a frog splash to the back. Brody kicked out at 1. Brody caught him, though, with a boss man slam, and then he hit the big corner cannonball, and then finally the Gonzo bomb for the win. So after the match, King said that he would be watching the main event, and if Ciampa wins, congrats. But while he's proud of Darby Allin, he's not proud enough not to bring the violence. Again, I said this earlier. I think we need some vignettes. I don't think we're going to get them. But it would be nice to have some character vignettes with Leo trying to explain exactly why he has descended into madness with this character. Because I know he was doing the crew stuff, right, with Action Andretti. And I just don't know that they, even on Collision, I mean, did they ever really explain how he went from that to what he's doing now? I don't believe they have. And frankly, even if they did on one of those other shows, like if he's going to be on Dynamite, I'd like to see that kind of stuff on this show because I'd like to see him featured more on this show. I know there are some wrestlers who are very big fans of like what he's doing now. Shotzi Blackheart thinks that this is the fucking greatest thing in the world. Like I saw her the other day being interviewed and she was asked about this and she was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this character. This thing is amazing. And if they give him the opportunity, it'll be the biggest thing in the entire company. I don't know about that, but it would be nice for them to try to explain, and could be fun to try to explain exactly how we got here. Because again, it's weird, it's creepy, it's different. It gets my attention, which doesn't always mean it's a good thing, but it does get my attention. But now I'm just wondering, okay, what's the why here? We shouldn't just be doing things for the sake of doing it. Like, what's the why? What's the reason behind this? So Renee caught up backstage with Tommaso Ciampa and asked how tonight's main event is going to go. He said he's been told his entire career, you're not big enough. You can't pass the airport test, that's a Vince McMahon thing. You're not charismatic enough. You're not main event material. Tonight is not about heroes or villains. It's about passion. Glass ceilings are imaginary. Tonight is about pro wrestling. And Ciampa said that you've never seen a man more prepared for his moment than he is tonight. Go ask Darby Allin if he wants this more than Ciampa needs it. This was a great babyface promo. I don't know what Ciampa is supposed to be from week to week. Is he a heel? Is he a babyface? I don't know. I've seen him basically come across both ways in the last couple of months. I did see Megan too. I didn't like it as much as the first one. It was okay. It was okay. I wasn't a big fan of it. I like the first one a lot more. Backstage, Adam Copeland talked about how he and Christian Cage, they want another shot at FTR and the AEW tag team titles. Even though FTR turned them down last week, Copeland proposed a New York street fight at Double or Nothing next month. And he goes, how about we do this? If FTR wins, Cope and Christian, they are retired as a tag team. They will never again work together as a team. So Copeland says he knows what his answer would be. And if you're the best tag team of all time, like you say you are, then he knows what the answer should be. Only one way to prove it, though. Balls in your court. Boy, that telegraphs the finish of that match, doesn't it? Cope and Christian are not retiring from anything until they win the AEW tag team titles at least once. Because Tony Khan wants those tag team titles in the history books. The history books are very important to Tony Khan. He wants Cope and Christian, Edge and Christian, to be tag team champions at least once in his company. He didn't get it with the Hardys. Things didn't work out with Jeff Hardy. And so the Hardys never held AEW tag team gold. They've held gold everywhere but AEW. And he's not going to allow that to happen with these two men. They just told you what the finish of that match is going to be. Hikaru Shida, with Chris Statlander in her corner, taking on Mina Shirakawa. We had some Joshi violence here in this match. In fact, before the match, earlier today, Shida said, may the best Joshi win. And she was also mockingly clapping for Mina as she made her way down to the ring. So if you haven't been paying attention, and I've tried to, a lot of this stuff has been on Collision. Shida has been doing this new type. It's not really a gimmick, but she's acting more heelish than she has in the past. And she's been teaming up recently with Statlander, but you could see kind of where she's trending more in the heel direction. So anyway, there was a figure 4 applied late in the match. Shida got the ropes. Mina started arguing with the referee as Shida went to go grab her kendo stick. Mina grabbed it away from her. She was going to use it as a weapon. Statlander reached in and she snatched the kendo stick away from her. And this momentary distraction here allowed Shida to hit a leaping knee strike and a falcon arrow for the win. And Statlander, they put the camera on her and she just had this look on her face like, oh, oops, like she didn't intend for that to happen, but she helped her partner win, but she didn't mean for it to play out that way. Shida, though, she was thrilled. She was happy with this. Shida has traditionally been a babyface basically her entire run in this company, so it felt to me like the fans didn't really know how to take it, you know, kind of like who to cheer for here, and because they like both these women. There were a couple of clunky moments in the match. It was decent on the whole. It wasn't that great, but it was decent. But you know what was not decent? You know what was much better than decent? This next match, because we had Will Ospreay one-on-one with Mark Davis. And this was great. I very much enjoyed this match. Excalibur said that Ospreay barely got cleared for tonight. This is his gimmick now, by the way. Every single week, Will Ospreay barely gets cleared by medical. The man missed 5 months, I think. I don't think it was 6 months after neck fusion surgery. And so if he's this close to not being cleared every single week, if this is his new gimmick, why was he even allowed to return to the ring in the first place? What does this say about AEW Medical? That every week it's a crapshoot as to whether or not this man is going to be medically cleared. Why not just let him rest at home for another few months until he's back to 100%? Apparently that's not the way it works here in AEW. So right out of the gate, Davis launched Ospreay out of the ring, and he wanted a powerbomb on the stage early, but Ospreay slid out, and he ended up hitting a somersault dive off again, I say off the stage. It's not like a huge drop-off here, but he did a somersault dive off the stage onto Davis. So Davis, of course, targeted the bad neck, and he tried for a pile driver. Ospreay avoided it. He landed a Spanish fly for a near fall. Davis answered with a pair of backdrop suplexes, and Ospreay was grabbing at his neck. He had all the fucking athletic tape on his neck, and he's grabbing at the neck. He did manage to catch Davis with a hidden blade, and didn't cover him right away, but he covered him, only got a near fall out of it. So Davis fired back with a lariat, and he gave him a pile driver. Ospreay, though, was saved by the bottom rope on the follow-up pin attempt. So Davis then took him out to the apron, and he gave him a pile driver variation. It was basically a version of a pile driver on the apron. And it got a great reaction. The crowd gasped, and Ospreay slowly fell to the floor in a heap. Doc Samson came over. He rushed over to check on Ospreay. Referee was holding Davis back. And after, 30 seconds went by, and the doc looked up at the referee and said, nope, that's it. That's it. We're done. And so the referee called the match off. We had a ref stoppage. And how about that? Mark Davis. Yes, the Mark Davis actually wins a match on AEW Dynamite. I'm amazed. He actually won. And the reason that the referee was forced to stop the match is because the doctor said that Ospreay was complaining he had no feeling in his arm, which sounds like a problem. Maybe next week he shouldn't be medically cleared, but I'm sure they'll clear him anyway. So when the match was over, Davis wasn't done, though. He dragged Ospreay back inside. He was about to deliver another pile driver because he has no mercy. But before he could do it, he has him up in a pile driver position, but all of a sudden, Marina Shafir is on the apron. And then he turns around, and again, he still has him upside down in the pile driver position. He turns around, and now Jon Moxley is in the ring. And now the rest of the Death Riders, they surround the ring, And Davis is outnumbered here, and he's like, he thinks better of it. He slowly sets Osprey safely back down on the mat, and he exits because he's outnumbered here. He's not an idiot. So he leaves the ring. The Death Riders, meanwhile, they pull Osprey out of the ring and they carry him through the crowd out of the arena. And that is how this ended. First of all, this was an excellent match with two men who I think have been the television MVPs of the year so far. Because every match that Osprey has had since he's come back, except maybe the first one, that first match he had with, oh God, who did he wrestle? The swirl guy, Blake Christian. That it was fine. It wasn't anything special. But like the match with Hechicero last week and some other stuff he's done, like Osprey, he's had some really good matches. Mark Davis has had some really good matches. And you always expect that he's going to lose. He's going to always be on the losing end of it. So it was nice that he got a fucking win for a change on the show tonight. Like, you may not push the guy, but you know what? Every now and then, throw a win his way. If you're going to feature him this much on television, instead of making him the modern day, like, Iron Mike Sharp, who just goes in there and loses every match that he's in, it's okay to throw him a win, on the main show every now and then. But as far as Osprey and the next stuff goes, look, this is going to continue to be the story into the summer until he beats Jon Moxley. This is how I see it playing out. I've mentioned the finals of the Owen before. I could be wrong about that. It could just be a straight up stipulation match of some kind at Double or Nothing. In fact, it would seem to me Double or Nothing would be the most likely place for the rematch. And I mean, I suppose Osprey could lose again and then eventually get his win back, but he'll probably get his win back on that show. I was just thinking of the Owen just because I just hate the idea of them wrestling again and having the TNT Championship be a part of that, or the Continental title be a part of it, because it's just completely unnecessary. We already saw it once. We don't need to see it again. Again, that title has nothing to do with what the mission is for Will Ospreay. I like the idea of him eventually beating Moxley, and when he does so, the more important thing is that it earns him the right to then challenge for the top title in the company. Because now you've got Tommaso Ciampa, you've got Brody King. You're going to have people fighting for this belt every single week. And you're going to tell me that Will Ospreay should not be fighting for the World Championship? If he's fighting for it in August, he has to win the Owen first. So why not have him finally get that win over Jon Moxley in the finals where it really counts for something? That's what I was thinking when I sort of mapped it out in my head. Double or Nothing at the earliest is when we'll see that match. But until we get there, the story of Will Ospreay on this show is going to be the neck. Is he going to be able to get cleared? And then he gets cleared and he's in there and he's clutching the neck and people are dropping him on his fucking head every single week. This is going to continue to be the story until he beats Jon Moxley. And then at that point, it may go away. And the story shifts to him trying to do the one thing he has yet to be able to do, which is win the top championship in the company. I would presume from MJF. Cannot discount the possibility it could be from Kenny Omega. Because that is another rumor going around that potentially could be the match they want to do in the main event on that show. Again, a very big match. Very big match, although I don't know where MJF falls then if you do that. But that's how I see things playing out. Great stuff here, though. Now, Renee was backstage with Mrs. Osprey, the soon-to-be Mrs. Osprey. Believe they're getting married in June. Alex Windsor. And she was asking Alex about her loss to Tekla last week. Jamie Hayter, still not cleared after her match with Tekla at Dynasty. Windsor said that she's going to rip the legs off the spider when Persephone showed up. And she said that she would team with her on Collision. And Windsor accepted and said they would challenge any two members of the Triangle of Madness for Collision this Saturday. We had after this the return of the former two-time AEW World Champion, Samoa Joe. Out of concussion protocol, back on the show here against Cody Chun. Yes. Cody Chun. I know he's your favorite. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about him. I wish I could. He wasn't in the ring long enough for me to even bother looking it up. Chun fought out of a muscle buster with an eye rake. He tried for a leaping crossbody And Joe just noped right the hell out of the way. And then he finally hit the muscle buster, and he got the quick win. That was it. Barely even broke a sweat. And as Joe is heading to the back, Hook walks out. Big smile on his face, applauding, very happy that his boy is back. And the two of them left together. I think it's time to move on from this ops stuff. The ops stuff played itself out a long time ago. I don't really see the need for it anymore. But it's good to have Joe back, and it's good to have Joe healthy again for now. You know, he's gotten hurt a few times. Hopefully he can stay healthy for a while this time. And he's another one who, you know, if you're looking for top names to plug into that world title scene, because we've been talking about all the names that are lined up to challenge for the AEW world title. And this is when MJF was the champion. But you had Kenny Omega, and you had Will Ospreay, and you've got Swerve Strickland. Where the hell's Swerve been, right? He's taking some time off. When's he going to show up? Andrade, we never did get that match with MJF and Andrade. I said this months ago. I think if you do Arena Mexico again for Grand Slam Mexico, that should be the match on that show. Except MJF is not the champion right now. Hopefully by then he will have the belt back. I think they did that at Arena Mexico in June of last year. So if they do the same thing again, it's not that far off. So if he gets that belt back before then, I think that's the match you do on that show. And now you can plug Samoa Joe back in there, because I think he was probably going to get a rematch anyway, and then he got hurt. And he has an argument to make, like, I'm the former champion and I deserve another shot. Boom. There you go. Now you got another person to step up and challenge. It actually does make more sense, though, for him to step up at a time when Darby is the champion, because Joe, look, the fans love Joe. They were cheering for him tonight. I still look at him as a heel. I guess he's whatever the fans want him to be. But if he wanted, if he showed up on the show and said, I want a shot at the title, it probably would make more sense to have him be one of those people that steps up to Darby in the next few weeks. I could see that being a TV match. Speaking of Darby, we had a video package here celebrating the brand new AEW World Champion. It was set to I've Gotta Be Me, highlighting his entire AEW career up to winning the world title on the show last week. This was very good. I was not expecting to hear Sammy Davis Jr. On this show tonight, but I thought it fit well here in this video package. Tony Schiavone was in the ring after this to welcome the brand new AEW World Champion, Darby Allin, out to the ring, and they hugged, and then he took the mic from Tony. And Darby said that the fans here in Portland, first wrestling match he ever had was right here in this city. He knows that this could all end in a matter of minutes when Tommaso Ciampa comes out here. He sees what this title does to people. It grows egos. But this isn't for him. This is for his parents, who he helped retire. This is for his fiance, who he met on the school bus, which I think I know what he meant by that, but like, that's a little creepy. I'm just saying. Maybe rephrase that a little bit. He met his fiance on the school bus. What is this? The Memphis territory 30 years ago? What is this? But yes, this is for his fiance. I won't dirty this up. This is for the Sherpas who helped him get to the top of Mount Everest. And this is for the fans. So MJF marches out on stage and he's screaming, and you know, Darby doesn't deserve shit, and he wants his belt back. Give me my belt back. Darby says no. And he refuses a rematch, says he's not giving MJF a rematch until he puts something on the line. Because everyone in the back deserves a shot, which is not true, by the way. Everyone in the back does not deserve a shot. Okay, let's not get carried away here. This is your world championship. But he says he'll put the title on the line every single week. It just won't be against MJF. So Tommaso Ciampa, his music hits, he makes his way out, and he and MJF pass each other on the way to the ring. And he gives MJF a kiss on the cheek and then continues walking down to the ring for the main event. And I actually am very happy that they didn't go with the finish that I thought they would go with. I thought MJF was going to show up and he was going to get involved and we might get some kind of screwy finish. And we didn't. We didn't see him again for the rest of the night. We had a clean main event, which was Tommaso Ciampa challenging Darby Allin for the AEW World title. Darby delivered a coffin drop to a standing Ciampa on the floor very early in the match. Ciampa, though, recovered. He shoved Darby very hard into the announce desk and then into the barricade. Later on, Darby, he climbed to the top of the ring post. Ciampa's outside. Ciampa actually came in, I think he went for a haluva kick over by the timekeeper's barricade, and Darby moved, and he kind of crotched himself on the barricade. And so now Ciampa is standing on the other side of the barricade. So Darby is standing on the top of the post, and he launches himself. He dives off onto Ciampa on the other side of the barricade, and they go crashing through a table that was in the timekeeper's area. So after this, Ciampa came up, and he was bleeding a lot. Darby delivered a suicide dive that sent him crashing into the side of the announce desk. And then he, in the ring, hit a scorpion death drop, but at the same time, Ciampa tore off the top turnbuckle pad. Both men ended up on the top rope. Ciampa hit an air raid crash to the floor. This looked like it fucking sucked to take. I mean, the way Darby bounced off the floor outside, you could hear the thud. This was not good. So later on, Darby hit a code red. Ciampa kicked out at 2.5. Darby went for a coffin drop. Ciampa caught him coming down into a rear naked choke. Darby was able to escape. Ciampa, though, avoided whatever it was that he was going for and collided with the exposed steel in the corner. Ciampa then delivered a knee strike, and he got a very close near fall. He followed with Project Ciampa and another knee strike for what was a very, for me anyway, very convincing near fall here. After that second knee strike, I did, for a split second, they got me thinking, okay, maybe, even though the smart part of my brain knew that it wasn't going to happen, but that was the closest near fall of the match. So then Ciampa tries for a Scorpion Deathlock. He's gonna use Sting's move on Darby. Darby escapes, and he counters into one of his own, and he's got it locked in, and Ciampa's fighting, and he's trying to maneuver his way into different positions. He's twisting himself like a pretzel. He can't get out of this move. And finally, he has no choice left but to tap out. And Darby retains the title. After the match, Darby extended a handshake, and Ciampa accepted. And he placed the title on Darby's shoulder. Brody King came out, and he helped Darby to his feet. And he said he was serious when he said earlier that he was proud of him. But he also talked to Tony Khan, and with his permission, he wanted a world championship match on Dynamite next week. And Darby shook his hand, and the match was made official. So on Dynamite next Wednesday, I don't know where the show is, but it will be Darby Allin defending the AEW World Championship yet again against Brody King. This was one hell of a main event. This cleared the Osprey Mark Davis match from earlier in the night. Ciampa didn't need to bleed, but I think Ciampa looked at this and said, okay, I'm wrestling for a world title here on TV. This may never happen again. Like, I'm probably not going to be in this position if either ever again or for a long time. And so I'm just going to go out balls to the wall, and I'm going to bust out the blade, and we're going to bleed. We're going to get some color here in this match. And he got a lot of it. He got a lot of blood. Darby is going to defend that title every week. This is what he's going to do. He's going to defend that championship next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. And what's going to end up happening is he's going to burn himself out, and he's going to lose the championship, I believe, at Double or Nothing, to MJF in New York. That is how this is going to play out. I mentioned earlier when Darby was TNT champion, I'm pretty sure it was the second time, not the first time. He didn't have the belt for very long, but he was defending it weekly against different challengers until ultimately he lost the championship. And if this is what they're going to do with him, then, I mean, that's fine. It's nice to have some title defenses on TV. I would not want it to get to a point, though. They have to be very careful I don't want it to get to a point where he's defending the title against people that are even beneath like Champa and Brody King, just because, well, I'm a fighting champion. And so, as he said, everybody in the back deserves a shot at the championship. No, they don't. And if you want to do an open challenge gimmick with the TNT title, if you want to do an open challenge gimmick with any of the other, half a dozen championships that they have in this company, then fine, knock yourself out. You shouldn't be doing that with your world title, though. But they have plenty of people that you could argue would be in line to contend for the title, because the world title scene in this company right now is very robust in a way that it hasn't been maybe ever. It's one of the advantages that AEW has right now that even WWE doesn't have. There aren't as many obvious potential challengers at this very moment on either show on the WWE end that are like, okay, yeah, this person should be contending for the world title, or this person's in line. This person's number 3, number 4, number 5. And in AEW, the core strength of these recent shows, really since MJF won the belt, has been, man, look at all these potential, people that are lined up to challenge for that title. This title, man, seems like the most important thing in the world right now. And it should always be that way. But if Darby's going to go out there and start putting the title on the line against, again, I put him over before, but fucking Lio Rush, right? Or, I don't know, one of the Outrunners, then we're going to have a problem here. So no, not everybody deserves a shot at the world title. Hopefully they don't go in that direction. I thought it was a strong show this week. I enjoyed, a lot more than I didn't. 2 killer matches, and I thought the main event was great. The Ospreay match with Davis was excellent. Lio Rush getting some Dynamite time for the wacky gimmick, and it's good to have Samoa Joe back. So that's my thoughts on Dynamite this week. Switch over to the Super Chats here. Again, I can no longer log into X within OBS. And so, for the time being, no more X polls. I could put a poll up in the live chat, though. But I can't, even if I post an X poll, I can't show it in here, so I don't even bother with them now. Whatever. It is what it is. No title shot for Gollum. Yes, no. No title shot for Gollum. That's right. Hope Tony Khan hears that. Let's take a look at your Super Chat. Say Joseph Stewart is with us on a Wednesday night. Can we shut down X for good? I wish. A lot of people say that, and then they continue to use it and lurk on there, even if it's not just for business purposes or promotional purposes, because it's addictive. But if somebody just sort of blew it up, if they took the initiative and, not literally, but like, I think that would solve a lot of problems. Especially in the wrestling realm. Joseph says, did you see the Clayface trailer online? I did. I saw it a couple of hours ago, and it's like the biggest revelation for me so far this year. I didn't even know they were making a Clayface movie. This is the first I'm even hearing about it. And I wasn't sure what it was at first. I just started playing the video. It's a teaser trailer. It's like a minute long. It's not coming out until October. I think October 23rd. But I was drawn in by the opening shot of the guy with the bandages on his face, and he looked all fucked up. And I started watching it, and I'm like, man, this is horror. This is not like a comic book movie. This is dark horror is what this is. And it's rare that you get like a comic book movie or a comic villain where they're actually doing, I'm pretty sure it's rated R. And it really came across, and it's coming out in October, no less. A week before Halloween. Like, it's just perfect timing. So it's like body horror. So I'm looking forward to it. I was never like a huge Clayface guy, but man, this thing looks sick. I'm definitely going to be seeing that. Have you seen the trailer today for Coyote versus Acme? It looks like John Cena is going to be the villain in the movie. Yes. After I saw the Clayface one, I saw a link to the Coyote versus Acme, which was never even supposed to be released. Remember, David Zaslav wasn't going to release it. They were going to take a tax write-off on it, and it was either going to be locked away in a vault or destroyed. Never to be seen. Imagine working on a movie for months on end. And then, oh, we're not even going to release it. No one's ever going to see it. I'm glad it's finally coming out. Yeah, Cena comes across as the main villain in the movie. I think he's the evil boss of the Acme Corporation. Do you remember when Eric Bischoff had Ric Flair arrested on Nitro? I remember a lot of the Flair and Bischoff stuff. I don't remember him being arrested, though, no. Do you remember on Nitro where Vince Russo, David Flair, and Daphne took a tour in Ric Flair's house? Charlotte Flair was part of it as well. A young Charlotte Flair. Yes, I do remember that. I do remember that. Happy birthday to Jack Nicholson. How old is Jack? It's gotta be over 80 by now. And happy 25th anniversary to the movie Shrek. It was released on this day in 2001. What are your thoughts on Roddy Piper's WCW run? I think he had a good run. Not as really as much of a fan of his work there as I was in WWE. Same thing with Randy Savage. He had a really good run there, but I just wasn't as much of a fan of it as I was his WWF work. Did you see the trailer to Practical Magic 2 with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock? And have you seen the first one? I have not seen the first one. I don't even know. I guess it's about magic. I couldn't tell you anything about it because I never saw it. You know what the Coyote versus Acme thing reminds me of? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Because you have a mix of live action and animated, and they're sort of blending them together in the same world. That's like the exact vibe I got watching that trailer. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't think it'll be as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but that's the vibe I got. Anyway, Joseph, thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. The Shoulder Demon. Will you be doing a sound-off review of Mortal Kombat 2? I may do a short, maybe after I see it. Maybe I'll do like a short and upload it to YouTube. I am planning on seeing it. My movie list has grown even longer after today. I think I had like 7 movies on there. Now I have like 9. And movies are expensive to go see. Gonna be spending some money this year. Havili is with us. Havili, it's good to have you on this channel for a change. Don't be a stranger. It says, have you seen Brody Lee Jr.'s match against Joey Janela? Will you be doing a review on the Hogan doc? Buy, sell, rent on the best tag team match in AEW. Young Bucks versus Omega and Page. Young Bucks against Lucha Brothers. Or FTR against Bullet Club Gold. Man, those are all great matches. Jack is 89. 89 years old. Wow. And still going to Lakers games, I'll bet, right? Probably sitting in the front row. Me personally, I think I would probably go with the cage match. It was All Out, I believe, right? Between the Lucha Bros and the Bucks, but it's probably between that one and the Revolution 2020 match. Although the FTR Bullet Club matches on Collision, both of them, there were 2 of them, were outstanding. The Hogan docuseries I'm going to try to watch. I'm going to try to watch all of it even before this weekend, but whenever I get done with it, yes, I am planning on checking it out. And the Brody Lee Jr. match. I did not see the full match. I have seen clips and highlights, and apparently, from what I've seen, and I'm not surprised how advanced he is for someone his age, because he's very young. But he's been training with Natty and TJ in the dungeon. Every time Natty puts out a new photo from like the latest dungeon training session, and there's a bunch of wrestlers there. There's a bunch of WWE faces. Fucking Tatanka is there. Tatanka's kids are there. And there's Brody Jr. There's -1. So he's learning from the best. And he seems to be coming along very quickly. Also, if and when Cope and Christian win the AEW Tag Team titles, would it make up for Tony Khan not putting the belts on the Hardys? It doesn't make up for anything. I mean, Tony couldn't put the belts on the Hardys. You know, because Jeff Hardy messed that up. That's not Tony Khan's fault. So it doesn't really have anything to do with the Hardys. I just think he wants to make absolutely sure that this other legendary tag team that he happens to have under contract working for him right now has the opportunity to hold his tag team belts. Griga says, "Hola, Solo. Hola. Buenos dias. Buenos dias, senor." Jeremy Rose, do you think we could get MJF and Bobby Lashley at Wembley Stadium if he is not in a world title match? If not, how about MJF Swerve, #1 contender for the shot at All Out? I think the MJF Lashley thing, that ship has sailed. That was a very weird thing, how that just kind of ended. I'm sure there's some political reason for it. Maybe one day we'll find out what the answer is to that question. Because, boy, did they shut that shit down quickly between MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. And we never really got any sort of resolution to it. Much more likely, if anything, we get MJF and Swerve, not MJF and Bobby Lashley. But yeah, I could see that being a match. Combat Theater, how was Uncrowned Studios? Also, watch Batman 2022. I actually have a note in my phone. I say this now, of course. It's my one night off that I usually have during the week is Thursday. I am going to attempt, I hate to even say this because I'll probably end up watching something else, but I'm going to attempt to watch The Batman tomorrow for the first time. I know it's a long movie, so I have to carve out 3 hours to watch this thing. I just never got to it, so I'm going to attempt to watch it tomorrow. I will keep you posted. As far as Uncrowned Studios, yes, I had a very eventful day today because I got to meet the entire Uncrowned team. Of course, I've been doing the Uncrowned Wrestling Show since February, and we're already in the double digits of episodes. So I got to meet with Ariel Helwani today, and all the great team members that he has over there at Uncrowned. They got to show me around. I got to see the studio. You guys probably saw what I posted on social media, so I got to sit in the control room. I'm going to talk more about the Ric Flair interview on the Sound Off. We'll save that for the Sound Off on Sunday. But of all the days for me to show up, and hey, I'm going to sit in the control room here for part of the show today, and Ric Flair happens to be on the show. And if you saw that interview today, because I saw all of it in real time, holy shit. Boy, did I pick a day to show up at the studios. That'll be fun to talk about on Sunday. But shout out to Ariel and Eric and Connor and Frank and everybody over there putting the work in every day on all those shows and my show. They're great. It was very cool. Food Hive says, 9 days, 9 days. Never forget what's going on. Yeah, what's going on, Food Hive? Says, what was for dinner? What was for dinner today? That's a good question. What was for dinner? Chicken. Marinated. Marinated chicken and the crescent round. Not crescent rolls. They have crescent rounds. So I had some of those. And that was it. Very simple. The CO92. Oh, hold on a second. Let's keep this in order. Alex says, Brother Solo, are you planning on going live for the Saturday night's main event and Double or Nothing pay-per-view on that busy weekend? I'll be live for Saturday night's main event, most likely. Double or Nothing is going to be a game time decision. I didn't go live for Dynasty. These pay-per-views, they end way too late. And I'm already doing a lot of work that weekend in particular. If I review the Saturday night show, I got the sound off on Sunday. I really don't feel like staying up until fucking 12:30 and first starting and then reviewing the show. And it's a lot. Double or Nothing is, it's 50-50. I went live for Revolution and it just was like, I don't know, it felt kind of dead. I'm like, what am I doing this for? You know, like what am I doing? What am I doing? If enough people want it, I'll do it. But I didn't get the sense that people were overly excited. LC5786 says, MJF probably going to win the TNT title to make it a title versus title match at Double or Nothing because Darby said that no rematch unless MJF puts something. Okay. You know, that's a good point. That is a good point. I don't like it. I don't like that idea. What the hell does he need? What do you need the TNT title involved in this for? So then MJF wins. He's got 2 titles. But now he has to drop the TNT title. What the hell is the point of that? I think you may be onto something, though. Food Hive says, what happened to Sound Off TV and movie reviews? I still remember your Walking Dead one with on Rick Grimes. You've done a few here and there. And your reviews are entertaining, and I think you'll thrive. I haven't seen that many movies recently. Actually, that's not true. This year I saw Send Help, the Sam Raimi movie. I saw Scream 7, which I did review. I just didn't do a separate video on it, but I did talk about it on the Sound Off. And I saw The Rip on Netflix with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, which was very good. Yeah, I do them from time to time. It's not like a regular thing. But I'm seeing so many movies this year. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to review them, even if it's like a short and not like a full-blown thing. I'll try. I'll try to make the effort. If people are interested, you know, change up the content a little bit, then maybe that's what we'll do. And the CO92. Could you see Tony Khan do an AEW and ROH pay-per-view during WrestleMania weekend next year? No, what Tony Khan should do, and I would be very surprised if he's not already thinking about it, and if he's not, he should. Tony Khan has the chance to play wrestling hero next year because I think that he should take the take the leadership role here and get the ball rolling down the hill and help organize and work with other promoters, whether it's, and I don't just mean wrestling promotions themselves, but even like conventions like WrestleCon. I think that they should all coordinate and have like a big celebration of wrestling, either the week of WrestleMania, not that weekend. So maybe the weekend before. I would not run shows opposite WrestleMania. That would be very stupid. But I think around that time period, you pick a city. I've suggested New Orleans because New Orleans is the one that got the shaft this year. But it could be any number of places. It should be a destination city of some type and organize like a wrestling festival of some kind. And he could help spearhead it. So like they're sort of the overseer. They're the ones responsible for it. But he brings people together, or these promotions, they all piggyback off of it on their own. And they run events in the same city. And basically what you see for WrestleMania every year, but it's kind of around the AEW show as opposed to WrestleMania. I absolutely 100% think that he should organize something like that. Or even if he himself is not organizing anything formal, but yes, run some sort of event with the idea that You're going to allow these other events to piggyback off of it, and you just create this period, this week, where you have all of these different wrestling events going on. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Moore says you should consider going to Double or Nothing in person instead. Should I? Why should I do that? Then I won't get home until 3 o'clock in the morning. You know how hard it's going to be for me to come home from Queens? Because I ain't driving in. I got to get on the fucking 7 train to go into the city, to come back this way. He's sticking his tongue out. WAZZZAP. Like, what the fuck? He's sticking his tongue out. WAZZZAP. Like, what the fuck? Havili is back. I thought about it, though. I won't rule it out completely, but probably not going to happen. I have a lot of work to do that weekend as it is. If I'm going to be live the night before and then do a sound off the next day, I'm not saying it's impossible. You know, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see here. Before we get to Havili, I'm going to get to you here in a second. EJ Slem, your Mets won tonight. I agree. Hogan was never a true babyface, but Brett was never a real heel. And I love Brett more than Kojima loves bread. Brett was never a real heel? In 97, he wasn't. There were no lies in anything that he said. The American wrestling fans deserved everything that man said to them. I agree. We have Arabian Night. Refreshing to get matches where they're longer than 6 minutes. Darby and Champa went longer than 90% of WrestleMania matches. AEW truly where we see wrestling be given time. Gargano watched this and is counting down the days. And Havili with the 13. If they didn't do Hogan Andre moment in the WWE Hall of Fame, would they have done Shawn versus Brett or Savage versus Steamboat? If they weren't going to do Hogan and Andre this year, I think they should have done Shawn and Taker from WrestleMania 25. Then you can actually physically get them both there for the ceremony. Favorite WrestleMania ending with number 286. Wait, favorite WrestleMania ending. That's a weird question. Favorite WrestleMania ending with the number 2. 86, 96, or 06. So that would be WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 12, or WrestleMania 22. Favorite ending of those three? I mean, it would have to be 96. Yeah, I would go 96. When do you expect a phone call from WWE for Zilla Fatu? It will come. It will come at some point. The commissioner will get that phone call at some point, and we'll have that conversation. And when we do, I will not tell you about that conversation. That will be a privileged conversation. Ace Italiano. Did you see the Hulk Hogan documentary? If so, what did you think? Dude, it just came out today. Although I did see half of it during WrestleMania. And what the portion of it that I saw wasn't anything special. But no, I have not watched it. It just came out today. I was gone all day. I was over at Uncrowned Studios. I only got home in time to have my marinated chicken and get ready for Dynamite. I didn't have time for anything else today. So I'm going to try to get it taken care of before the sound off this weekend. But yes, I will watch it. I have not yet watched it. I need time to sit down and watch it. Anyway, the goal tonight was 475. We fell just short. typical for a Dynamite stream, but it is what it is. We will have to try again on Friday, see if we can do some Be the Booker. And in the meantime, go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already done so. Go back and check out the WrestleMania reviews also, or at least skip around to the parts you want. Over 125,000 views and counting between both nights of WrestleMania. So thank you for joining me for all of that coverage. We had a very big weekend. Jeremy Rose, do you think we ever get Punk MJF at WrestleMania? No. When and if MJF does eventually go to WWE, by that point, I don't think Punk is going to be active anymore. Which is to say, I don't think we're going to see MJF in WWE for quite a while yet. I mean, look, I think that'd be a great WrestleMania match, but I'm gonna say no on that. I don't think we get it. All right, be well, stay safe. Oh, check out the Uncrowned Wrestling show from yesterday. Didn't just talk WrestleMania and Raw on there. We also talked about the WWE Hall of Fame, which I did not get a chance to cover on the Sound Off because there is no Sound Off from this past weekend. So I talked about the Hall of Fame. Very mixed feelings. You'll see what I mean when you listen to the show. And also talked about the Josh Barnett story, him shuddering, Bloodsport. A couple of other things as well. So go ahead and check out the Uncrowned Wrestling show. Retro KOH, if there was a WWE RPG game, which wrestler would you want to play as and why? Which wrestler would I want to play as? Macho Man Randy Savage, because he's Macho Man Randy Savage. I don't need to say anything more than that. He's the total package as far as pro wrestlers go. And Alex says, how many backflips can you do without passing out? It's not a matter of passing out. It's a matter of not, breaking my neck on the way down. LC says, you mentioned Roger Rabbit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Bonkers also had a world where tunes and humans coexist. Did you ever watch that one? No, I used to eat Bonkers. Bonkers was a great candy when I was a kid. I don't know if it exists anymore. But I don't remember watching Bonkers. And Thomas says, we love you, Solo. Thank you. Apparently you love me enough to where we just hit the goal after all for Be the Booker. How about that? Talk about a buzzer beater. Well, on that note, I guess then it's time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I didn't think we were going to be doing this tonight.
To be the Booker.
But here we are. But you guys have a flair for the dramatic, don't you? All right, we're going to kick things off here with Batista and Rey Mysterio. Remember, they were a tag team at one point. They were tag team champions at one point. You were supposed to be my friend. You were supposed to be my friend. Yes, I didn't know Dave was Southern. You were supposed to be my friend. Batista and Rey Mysterio against Jurassic Express, Jack Perry and Luchasaurus. A very, very, very good tag team match. Got some star power there in that match. Why didn't Stone Cold make an appearance on WrestleMania if he was back to do what? Why would Austin be on this year's WrestleMania? They barely had any wrestling on the show. It was commercial mania. John Cena was already hosting. The most he could have done was come out on night 2 and toast with John Cena. He didn't miss much. I don't think Austin was interested in sticking around. We have Ms. Jacqueline in the WWE Hall of Fame. Jacqueline is with us. We picked her a few weeks ago. Jacqueline, let's give her a drum roll. Jackie deserves a drum roll. Ooh. Becky, 2 belts. We got Becky Lynch and Ms. Jackie. Are we actually going to end up with a sweep when we weren't even going to do Be the Booker? Are we going to get an unexpected sweep here tonight? Is this where we're trending? Moose. There he is. Now we find out who his opponent is going to be. Moose. Former TNA champion in the main event. Against someone who is from a part of the world where they have a lot of moose. Is it moose or mooses? What would the plural be of moose? I don't know, but I got to give it the bell. What would the plural of moose be? Would it still be moose? Wouldn't be mooses. That doesn't sound right to me. We got a clean sweep, everybody. So you should all be very happy. I'll be very proud of yourselves. Bret Hart and Moose. A very Canadian main event. Moose is plural. Well, then if it's plural, then what's the singular? Huh, smart guy? It can't be the same word. Meese. It's not me, meese. Who said that? Tawab said that. More than one moose is plural. Yes, but what is the singular then? There is no plural for moose. It's just moose. Well, that's stupid. I think that needs to change. Anyway. Can't be ranting on this now. Chicago 4 MBK says, haha, got to be the Booker. Yes, and you got a clean sweep too. So congrats. Let's try that again on Friday. Let's see if we could start our new streak. We were doing really well, and then the streak was broken on Monday night. So I want to start a new streak where we have multiple clean sweeps. Lonely Moose. It's just Moose. I'm not having this discussion anymore. Be well. Stay safe. If you want to enjoy some dessert before you go to bed, you could have some moose. And then come on back here for the SmackDown post show on Friday night. Going to be a big SmackDown. I don't usually look forward to SmackDown because SmackDown is an awful, horrendous television show. However, this is the post-WrestleMania SmackDown, which means there's going to be some moves. Not moose. We're going to get some new faces on the show. We talked about that in the Raw post show on Monday night. You can go back and check in on that discussion, who I think is very likely going to move over or be called up and end up on the SmackDown roster. So I want to see who moves over, but also what they do with Cody Rhodes. Because his eye is all kinds of fucked up. And I don't know if it's bad enough that he's going to be forced to vacate the title, but there's some question about whether or not he's going to be able to wrestle anytime soon. So we'll hopefully get some answers on the Cody situation on Friday. Join me for that. And until then, have yourselves a great rest of your week. Retro gets the last word. It's just me, Moose. Day 1-ish. I'll see you on Friday.